Morning. This is the last class for Christian mental health. So the last topic is post-traumatic stress disorder. So also called the PTSD. That is, I think you heard about that because it's lots of news and SNS and all kinds of magazines are dealing with this topic because that is kind of a big thing. Well, when we have something special or traumatic events, we can't forget that right away because it stays in our head, it stays in our mind, it stays in our body too. That means when a person I know got cut the last tip of the finger, the index finger, because he was working on the door and he was using a kind of a skill saw for cutting off some part of the door, and accidentally that was kind of twisted and wobbled and he got cut the last tip of the finger. So whenever he saw and whenever he feels uncomfortable because of this, because we are using lots of for lots of things, this index finger is kind of important. All body parts are important, but that is what we use every day and very often. So that is pretty heavy duty and working hard finger, but that the last tip got off, and he can't do fingerprinting, and he had to report for the disability because of this, and he has many uncomfortableness because of this. Well, but he has no problem. He has no problem mentally, but physically. Okay. But some people can't forget what happened in their past. Whether that is a physical problem, whether that is or just relationship problems, any social problems, they cannot forget that because of that was pretty shocking moment, and that stays in them for a long time because that is they can't forget it. So that bad events are just occurring in their minds again and again. And then that is not just a memory. If that stop there, that is just memory, bad memory. But the problem is that is a bad memory, but on top of that, their normal lives is not uncomfortable. So they cannot do their normal lives because of that event. Okay. Well, one out of two couples that separating, divorcing in this country. So that is bad memory, right? They loved each other, so they just made the oath for the royalties each other's, but somehow they decided to separate and divorce. And after that is bad memory. That is really bad memory. Especially the process is nasty always. Almost always the process. Ending the relationship is pretty nasty. So they can get, trauma after that. Well, most of them can stay, as normal because that is their bad memory and that's it. But some people have trauma, so they cannot live the normal lives, which means they cannot meet other, the new people, the friends, new, husband to be or wife to be. It is pretty hard for them because their bad events is in their mind, in their memory, in their heart, so they cannot focus on their normal lives. Okay. So some people can get depressed, so they have depression problem, and some people have relationship problem, as I said, and some people have that relationship problem can be spread to other relationships too. And then when they get some offers or kind of some people trying to be just close with those people and they just reject. Or some people have nasty relationship after that because they want to just forget that event. So after that, some people have nasty relationship with many people. Okay. So depends on what traumas they have. They get affected from that bad events and they cannot live the normal lives. That's their traumas. Okay. So trauma is what happened in the past, like divorce, separating, or accident, and body hurt, and then that is the trauma. But post trauma, after that trauma, they got stressed, and it is there. Okay, it is there. So that's also called the post-traumatic stress. So they cannot live the normal lives. Okay. So we have all kinds of traumas in our lives, separating, physical, damage or something like that. And recently, our government just decided to withdraw from the Afghanistan, and that was 20 years long war. 20 years long war, and we lost lots of young people there. And that affect to their families, their relatives, their friends, and our country. Okay? They got killed by Taliban and ISIS, Al Qaeda. Lots of people got killed there, and lots of people got injured in the war zone, Afghanistan. Some people lost their arms, legs, eyes, eyesight, hearings. And after they got back from the war zone, Afghanistan, they can't forget their traumatic events there, because they lost their friends there, because they lost their co-workers, other soldiers. If that stays as bad memory and that's it, I think it is okay, but lots of people got, stressed because of the traumatic events. So they got depressed. They can't get their, they can't have their normal lives, even though they have counseling services after they got back to this country again. But that was not good enough. Well, that works also, but for some people, that was not good enough. So they got post-traumatic stress disorder. So some people just, sleeping on the street. And some people just gave up their lives and made suicides. Because of the 20 years war, our country haven't got nothing. We lost our young man. And I mean, it's like Vietnamese war, We lost at the Vietnamese war. Didn't get anything but withdraw from that place. After losing lots of young people there. And lost lots of money. The same to Afghanistan. We had to leave lots of arms and bombs and trucks and many things there because we couldn't get everything back to our country because it takes so much money and so much risks are there. Who are using those stuff? Taliban and some Afghanistanians. So post-traumatic stress disorder. There are all kinds of traumas in our lives, especially in war zones, in our just normal lives, but can we have good enough power and energy and strong mind to overcome those things so we can live our normal lives? That is okay. That is great. But lots of people are getting, hardships because of the traumatic events, so that they cannot live the normal lives. They have dysfunctional things in their lives. That's what's so-called the post-traumatic disorder. We want to just work on that. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is a set of reactions that can develop in people who have experienced or witnessed a traumatic event that threatens their life or safety or others around them. Well, a few years ago, I think, there was a really nice person. That person's job is just teaching shooting, and one day he was trying to help a guy to, overcome this and that, hardships, but that learner just to shoot the shooting coach, very known, very gentle and nice person, cause the learner got PTSD. He had hardships. Somehow he thought, I don't know. So he just killed the shooting coach. That was, it's threatening. It's threatening others, right? Because they got lots of stress and they just imagine, so many bad stuff. And that's what happening in their brains and minds. So that was really a sad story. This could be a car or other serious accident because they just imagine, something. Physical or sexual assault, war-related events or torture, or a natural disaster such as bushfire or flood. I mean, the fire is pretty tough and dangerous. So when I was teaching my kids to take care of, deal with the ovens and for gas fires or electric fires or something, I had to warn them and teach them how to take care of that step by step. Because that is very important. Once they got burned, it stays there forever. Depends on how serious it is. But usually they have to live with that. Lots of people got burnt with the hot water or something, so they cannot stretch out their arms. They have to just live like this. They cannot just make their arms straight, because that is bended because of the muscle and skin got damaged. I mean, there are so many dangerous things in our lives, and majority of kids got hurt and be disabled in their houses, not in the playground, not in their. But that happens in the playgrounds and preschools and elementary schools and kindergarten. But majority of kids got hurt in their houses. So it's just scary, You cannot imagine how many children are dying in their houses with many different reasons, with many different events. That is not easy at all. Okay, this could be a other serious accident, physical or sexual assault, war-related events or torture, or a natural disaster such as a bushfire or flood. So I think last week I just mentioned that I got drowned in a swimming pool when I was a little kid, and because of that trauma, I couldn't swim until I become 26 years old. So I had to spend 20 years, roughly 20 years, without swimming. I was afraid of it. I didn't even try to learn swimming until I just decided to go swimming pool and I just tried by myself, and I learned by myself because I was very scary when because what if the swimming coach just pushed me to do this and that because I was not get ready, and I couldn't get ready for that because of the trauma. Okay. Other life-changing events such as being retrenched, getting divorced, or death of a family member are very distressing and may cause mental health problems, but are not considered traumatic events that can cause PTSD. Alright? In the first days and weeks after a traumatic event, people often experience strong feelings of fear, sadness, guilt, anger, or grief, and many other, related emotions, feelings like those. So those feelings are not limited to those things, that what I read for you. And there are so many complicated feelings and emotions and thinkings when they got traumatic events. But generally, these feelings will resolve on their own. However, if the stress continues, it may mean that the person has developed PTSD or another mental health condition. A person I know, he just passed away. His first wife just asked him to leave, and they got divorced when they were young. And it was very hard for him to meet another person, but he was okay. That was not PTSD, but I don't know. Who knows? What if he just acted wrong to the second wife because of the bad events with the first wife? But at least he could get, second wife, and he just spent really nice, time, years and years. Well, he had problems with his wives, like what we have in our daily lives. Like we all have problems with our wives and husbands, right? And boyfriends and girlfriends, and even, just regular friends we have. We all have problems with our neighbors and friends. Well, communities also, but that was really it was beautiful relationship for him to have the second wife. Okay. However, if I want to just read it again. However, if the stress continues, it may mean that the person has developed PTSD or another mental health condition. As I said, when your body got hurt, you can get another mental health problems like depressions or anxiety or anger or something like that, because you lost some, or you got damaged part of your body, and that's scary, right? It's just scary. That happens in seconds or minutes. There are so many car accidents on the streets. I just experienced some car accidents. My wife was involved in the car accidents. My son was involved in the car accidents twice. Okay. I'm just praying that my daughter will not be involved in the car accidents. If that happens, she'll be okay. That's what I hope. It's dangerous. We are living in a dangerous place. Especially car accidents is horrible, People lose their lives in a second. Boom! And that's it. And they lose their lives. Can you imagine how scary to drive? Lots of people are driving DUI, driving under influence, after drinking, after driving, after insomnia. There are so many, irresponsible people on the streets. And 1 out of 6 at least, people are saying 1 out of 5 right now, at least 1 out of 6 Americans have light mental health problems. When you see 100 cars on the streets or parking lot. Okay? At least 10 people have problems, mental health problems. And what if, one of them got severe mental health problem and he or she make problems with other cars and drivers? That's crazy. And lots of people are carrying concealed weapons and shotguns in their car trunks or their houses. Oh my goodness, they are shooting each other. They're shooting others with no reasons. They're shooting their neighbors because of the, grass, peeing, their neighbors' dogs peeing on their grass. There can be so many things. So many things. But I understand that. I just watched the movie, Clint Eastwood. I don't know. He was very cautious on his grass, front yard grass, something. I can't remember exactly, but some people care their grass really well, and they just love their grass. They're green grass. And every day they just pull out the weeds. But what if passing by dogs just pee on their grass? Dog pees kill grass right away. Okay? So people can get mad. I understand. And I hate dogs pooping and peeing on the grass. But that's what they do. What can I do, I'm just hoping that the dog's owners pick up their waste after their job. But some people don't do that. Some people just throw away their, the plastic waste, the waste. Some people are just crazy. Anyone can develop PTSD, okay? Even though they looks like they have strong mind or something, or deep spirituality or something, or high levels social status. No matter what, anybody can get PTSD following a traumatic event. But people are at greater risk if the event involved physical or sexual assault. They have had repeated traumatic experiences such as sexual abuse or living in a war zone. They have suffered from PTSD in the past. Okay. I mean, lots of women got raped on the streets, behind the building, in the office, in the churches, in their working places, in university campuses, high school campus, restrooms, cars. I think, majority of, I think almost all, most of them got PTSD. Because they were afraid of it. A person I know, his wife got raped, and after they knew it, shared that, they were filled with anger. So the guy had to buy lots of guns and bullets. He was so angry. Fortunately, that couple just overcome their hardships and they just living together peacefully, happily. But that trauma stays in them. They can't forget it. But they could overcome that trauma, so they have, you know, good relationship with as husbands and wives. That's what happening in this world. You know, this world is kind of crazy. People go crazy. You know, people are so selfish. People are so narcissistic. The most big problem is that some people have mental disorders, and they don't know what to do. If they can be healed, you know, if they can get any help from others, or unless they overcome their, you know, problems, they're gonna make the problems. They're gonna hurt others. They're gonna kill others. Making gossips. Why people are making gossips? Because they are not stable. Because they think this and that. Because they have mental disorders. Lots of churches are ruining because of those people. They go crazy. They don't know what to do. But apparently, it's hard to distinguish they have mental disorder or not. And their close friends are working with those people, so they just spread the gossips. A person with PTSD has four main types of difficulties. There are lots of difficulties, but mainly four types of difficulties. First one is reliving the traumatic event through unwanted and recurring memories, flashbacks, or vivid nightmares. There may be intense emotional or physical reactions when reminded of the event, including sweating, heart palpitations, and panic. I think we just watched that kind of movie clips a lot. Avoiding reminders of the event, such as thoughts, feelings, people, places, activities, or situations that bring back memories of the event. And they got freeze, they got panicked, they got feared because they just saw the same thing what they saw in the scene of their loved ones got victimized. Something. Well, there are two intersections and streets in my town, and at the corner of the intersection or beside of the street, I think actually there are three. Some people are just putting flowers, candles, and a bike, because they lost their loved ones on the streets, on the corner, beside the street. I don't know what happened to them, but mostly car accidents. They can't forget that. So their families and their friends and relatives come there and lit the candles and stay there for a while, remembering their loved ones. shaking their shoulders, hands, they drop their heads down and touch the bike their loved ones used to play with, ride with it. But still, it's pretty hard for them to overcome those things. I think it takes a long time. Whenever they pass by, because they are still living there. At least they want to just stay living near there, so they don't want to pass by that intersection. They don't want to just see the streets, except when they come for lighting the candles and putting the flowers and touching the bike. Second, avoiding reminders of the event such as thoughts, feelings, people, places, activities. That's what I read. And third one is negative changes in feelings and thoughts such as feeling angry, afraid, guilty, flat or numb. Developing beliefs such as I'm bad, or the words unsafe, the feeling cut off from others. So they want to be isolated. They don't want to make any relationships with others. They don't say to, the store owners, they don't just talk, just little things, but just order coffee or donuts. Cause they are just cutting off all kind of relationships. They just block the huge and like a fortress walls because they don't want to make any relationships with others. Lots of people are thinking they have guilty because they didn't hug their kids when their kids go outside with their bikes. That happened because I didn't hug my kids when they outside. When they go out. I had to kiss my husband when husband's leaving for the work. I regret that I did, something. I spelled out harsh words to my husbands and wives. That's why she or he got stressed. And that happened. Many things, many little things they focus on and they just regret. And they got depressed because of all kinds of thinking. The last one is being overly alert or wound up, indicated by sleeping difficulties, irritability, lack of concentration, becoming startled and constantly being on the lookout for signs of danger. They got paranoid. They have fear. Okay, those things can trigger them to get stressed and recall what happened to their loved ones or to themselves. PTSD is pretty hard. Well, half the practitioner may diagnose PTSD if a person has symptoms in each of these 4 areas for a month or more. So it lasts long. Okay? It happens it lasts like a week or something. I think it can be okay. But in most cases, when people lose their husbands and wives, it lasts at least 3 months. After that 3 months, when they just show kind of it looks like they couldn't overcome that sorrows. I think it's time for, help. Even though they don't ask. Usually people don't ask for help. They want to be just stay calm or just stay alone. Okay. Which lead to significant stressful impacts on their ability to work and study, their relationships and day-to-day life. So their day-to-day life got affected by those traumas and stress because of the traumas, and they need some help. Well, people are saying they can take care of that, but they can't. Okay. Drunken drivers, 100% of them are saying they can drive, but they cannot drive. They are supposed to drive. Because if they kill themselves, it's okay. It's bad, but still okay, unless they kill others. They don't know. People with PTSD can also have what are termed dissociative experiences, which are frequently described as dissociative experiences. It was as though I wasn't even there. Time was standing still. I felt like I was watching things that happen from above. Because they think they think or they imagine what happened to their loved ones or to themselves. So they want to just see, what happened as a third party. So like a drone watching scenes. So they think like something happened to them or their loved ones from the above. Okay. Time is standing still means that it's like that happened and it passed already, but they think it's like it's still happening. So that is scary for them. PTSD in children and teenagers. Older children and teenagers experience similar problems to adults when they develop PTSD. Younger children can express distress in a different way. For example, they may relieve the traumatic event through repetitive play rather than having unwanted memories of the event during the day. Many children have frightened dreams without recognizable content rather than nightmares that replay the traumatic event. Children may also lose interest in play, become socially withdrawn, or have extreme temper tantrums. So they fight easily. They get angry easily. they get angry easily, alright? About 1/3 of children who experience a traumatic event will develop PTSD because it's so vivid. It's so vivid for them. It is so the children, they are kind of pure. They have kind of soft mind, and their memory is so clear. So it is more traumatic for kids. Other problems that can develop alongside PTSD include anxiety or depression, defiant behavior, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and in teenagers and young adults, suicidal thoughts and alcohol or drug use. You know what? When I was a little kid, my mom just was about to out for a market, and she just called two, you know, my two older sisters, but three of them just asked me to stay home, but I was a little kid. It was okay in Korea though. You know, he can be problem in the United States, but it was okay in Korea when I was a little kid. I was feeling really bad, and I still remember how I felt at the time. I cried and I insisted that I want to follow them, but they said no. So I just found a little shovel and I just hold the shovel and banged the floor and I told them, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna kill myself. And they said, if we want, and they just left. And I cried. I don't know why they didn't want me to follow them, but I think I can guess because I was a pretty active kid and problematic person, and so they didn't want to make a trouble, and they don't want to just carry me on the streets or in the markets. I can understand them right now, but it was very hard for me for a while because I can understand why they didn't allow me to follow them. I wanted to follow them and find, get snacks or something. That's the really nice chance to get snacks or candies. But they just left the house, and later on I don't know, but apparently I think they just got something for me to eat. I think. Well, anyway, that was really hard for me. So anyway, PTSD can affect a person's ability to work because they have a problem, because they are sick. Perform day-to-day activities or relate to their family and friends. A person with PTSD can often seem disinterested or distant, as they try not to think or feel in order to block out painful memories. They may stop them from participating in family life or ignore offers of help. This can lead to loved ones feeling shut out. Okay. Well, when you cut a cold, it is harder for you to work in your offices. Yeah. When you hurt your finger, it's going to be harder for you to focus on your work because it's painful. Oh my goodness. That finger is sending the signal to your brain that this finger is painful. This finger has a problem. You need to take care of that. And it's painful. Then you cannot focus on your reading, can you? You cannot focus on your activities, can you? You cannot enjoy your favorite sports, can you? Nobody can do that because you have a problem. Same thing. When you have a mental disorder, when you have bad feelings in your mind, can you focus on your work? Pretty hard. Well, you can do some, but still, the performance-wise, it cannot be comparable. It is important to remember that these behaviors are part of the problem. People with PTSD need the support of family and friends, but may not think that they need help. So that's the problem. That's the hardships. It is not unusual for people with PTSD to experience other mental health problems at the same time. finger problem, depression can be. If you have a depression, you have an anger problem too, can be. In fact, up to 80% of people who have a long-standing PTSD develop additional problems, apparently. Most commonly, depression, anxiety, and alcohol or other substance misuses. These may have developed directly in response to the traumatic event or have developed sometime after the onset of PTSD. Well, lots of people want to drink because of the PTSD, and they cannot stop because they are drinking for forgetting that feelings and memories. They don't want to just stay with. They can't stay with their, the traumatic event, what happened in the past, and because of it, they are having problems in their minds, and so that's why they can't stop drinking. Because they want to just forget those things with drinking. Drugging. Substance misuse like glue. And pierce their bodies. And smoking, burning, cutting. There are many things can happen. They just pull their hair out. They try to pull their hair out. They just hit others, better others, steal other properties, gossiping. People commonly use alcohol or other drugs to blunt the emotional pain that they are experiencing. Alcohol and drugs may help block out painful memories in the short term, but they can get in the way of a successful recovery. Right? A person who has experienced a traumatic event should seek professional help if they don't feel any better after 2 weeks, feel highly anxious or distressed, have reactions to the traumatic event that are interfering with home, work, and all relationships, are thinking of harming themselves or someone else. Some people, they cannot stop remembering and flashing the traumatic event in the past. They drink, they misuse the illegal substances and drugs. And what else they can do? So some people kill themselves. That's the only way they can stop recalling and flashing the bad memories, the traumatic events. And they know that traumatic events is hindering making their day-to-day life hard, impossible. So what they can choose, kill themselves. That's why people are killing themselves. Suicidal rates are pretty high. Lots of people from Afghanistan or other war zones, the young people, our country is the heroes. They kill themselves because of PTSD. Very sad. So nowadays, when they come back to country, counselors and their supervisors watch them closely, carefully, and they provide counselors. But still, pretty hard, right? It's pretty hard. Some of the signs that a problem may be developing are being constantly on edge or irritable, having difficulty performing tasks at home or at work, being unable to respond emotionally to others, being unusually busy to avoid issues, using alcohol, drugs, or gambling to cope, having severe sleeping difficulties. Okay. Sport is important for recovery. Many people experience some of the symptoms of PTSD in the first 2 weeks after the traumatic event, but most recover on their own or with the help of family and friends. For this reason, formal treatment for PTSD does not usually start for at least 2 or more weeks after a traumatic experience. Okay? So they don't know what happened right after the traumatic event because they got anger, they got anxieties, or they fear, or something like that. And they don't know what's going on. Their brains and minds are shaped by the traumatic event. But as time passes, like a couple of days, week or two, and they can realize that traumatic event really happened to them. And they can think and concern what's going on and what happened. Then they can have, problems. So support is important. So when something happened, their families and their friends have to get close to them. Okay, watch them carefully, closely. It is important during the first few days and weeks after a traumatic event to get whatever help is needed. This may include assessing information, people and resources that can help you to recover. Support from family and friends may be all that is needed. Otherwise, the doctor is the best place to start to get further help. Okay? Well, skilled counselors can just lead those people who got traumatic event recently, so that they can talk and and let them release their stresses and feelings out and share. By doing so, they can just understand what really happened and what they're gonna do, and they can share by sharing their feelings. This kind of steaming up, and they can just release their stresses by talking. While people are talking, they want to just release their stress. Okay? Then how to take care of the PTSD? If you are still experiencing problems after 2 weeks, a doctor or mental health professional may discuss starting treatment. But people usually gonna say no. So that's the hard part. If they say no, how you can provide counseling? How you can provide prescriptions? Effective treatments are available. Most involve psychological treatment such as counseling, but medication can also be helpful. Generally, it's best to start with a psychological treatment rather than use medication as the first and only solution to the problem. So, well, you can just heal. You can be healed with, by walking the streets once a day. Then you have no reason to take medicines. Medicines make side effects. All medicines make side effects. Well, but we need medicines because we need something for this. So we don't care others. We don't care stomach aches or ulcers or some other things. But we want to just keep our body healthy. We want to just keep our body just block the spreading the cancers. Then we don't care. We can sacrifice some stomach aches. So anyway, there are so many other things, but we can recommend the psychological treatment before we just start the medications. The cornerstone of treatment for PTSD involves confronting the traumatic memory and working through thoughts and beliefs associated with the experience. Trauma-focused treatments can reduce PTSD symptoms, lessen anxiety and depression, improve a person's quality of life, be effective for people who have experienced prolonged or repeated traumatic events, but treatment may be required for a longer period. Okay? For children and teenagers who are struggling to recover after a traumatic event, the recommended treatment is traumatic-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. Alright? This is this. It's not working, but still staying there. Hate that. Okay. Traumatic focused. Traumatic focused cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, that's CBT. So traumatic focus means kids can have lots of problems, all right? So you don't want to just take care of other things, but that trauma, particular trauma, triggers the children, a child had a problem, okay? Like depression, ditching schools because of that, or stealing, hurting others, like bullying. So many things can be happen. So you want to just focus on particular trauma which triggered a child these things, but you don't want to just take care of other existing problems like all right. For that, cognitive thinking, behavioral acting therapy is that can be recommended. thinking is that particular trauma made a child think something different or wrong. So the child has to understand what really happened, what the child is doing and thinking. So understanding the trauma, right, and understanding the child, and then that cognitive therapy helps for the child to think and understand why. And behavioral therapy means, by acting we can just change our thinking too. All right. So, but changing thinking is kind of hard sometimes. It's actually harder to change our behaviors. So we want to just act. We want to just decide to act differently. Okay. By changing our acting, we can change our thinking and feelings too. All those are linked together, so if we change our thinking, we can change our behavior too. But which is easier? Changing your feelings? Changing feelings is pretty hard. It's most hard part. But changing thinking can be, but without understanding and without just think why, we can change our behaviors if we want. So just go outside and take a walk and do this and do that and help others and expose to the dangerous situations or like a flooding therapy something. And then because that is easier, so we can just apply that the child, and we can help that. Learning about the type of traumatic event experience, like how common it is, and common reactions to trauma. But you don't want to just tell people that happens to everybody, and majority of people overcome to that from that traumatic event, so you can do that. I don't like that approach. Generalizing and making the particular trauma common, that is horrible. That is horrible. That feels the person, that makes the person feel stupid. Oh, many other people can take care of that and overcoming, but I'm stupid and I'm just stuck in here. That's what people can think. And that's what you make those people stupid. Feeling stupid. It's not proper at all. And I hate to say that. You want to just focus on the person. You don't have to generalize them. Oh, many people got hurt. Oh, we all die. Oh my goodness. That's really bad. I don't like that kind of people. If they say so. Teaching how to relax and manage anxiety. Relax and manage anxiety. Helping to, so usually the parents are just telling their kids, count to 1 to 3, 1 to 10, 1 to 100. That works actually. That works. Helping to create a coherent story of the traumatic event and correct any unhelpful beliefs about the event, such as self-blame. That's my fault. I did something wrong. Gradual exposure to trauma-related objects or situations that are feared or avoided. Helping to get back into everyday activities. It is hard for changing their thinking and feelings, but they can start their normal lives. Wake up, wash your face, eat breakfast, have a cup of coffee, brush your teeth, and wear your clothes right. You know what? Recently, I decided to wear better. I mean, when I stay home, all people like pajamas when they at home. Baggy pants, baggy shirts. Recently, I just decided to wear something better at home, so I want to just be. I want to just make my mind straight. That's what I'm thinking. So I need to shop clothes. Is it a good reason to shop? Anyway, because when I wear something that, what if I just wear kind of baggy pants and sweatshirt or something in front of you for teaching this and that? Do you think that's proper? That means I'm not ready for that, and you think he's crazy? He's not ready to teach us? Same thing. A person I know, his brother-in-law, he was in FBI for a long time, and he wears shirts. Like a semi-dress shirt, always. Wears socks, and very straight person. That is mine. You know, what is not our mindset? We wear something baggy and we behave like that. When we dress up, we want to be gentlemen. We want to be ladies. Something like that. Anyway, happy to get back into everyday activities, encourage people to do their, daily, proper daily work that makes people and help people to get back and overcome the PTSD. Well, PTSD is pretty tough. We cannot say, we cannot generalize it, we cannot make it, a particular thing or particular person common. We want to just focus on those individuals, case by case, and just try to encourage them to overcome their traumas or mental illness, so they can just, can get back to day-to-day work and life and build good relationship with others. That's why we are here, and that's why we are learning Christian mental health, and hopefully I can just work on the Christian mental health, how to Christians and Christianities can help, can understand the mental disorders and help them with mental disorders, overcoming the disorders. So it was my pleasure to work with you on Christian mental health for the last 10 years, and thank you. And hopefully